The conference room smelled like burnt coffee and the faint citrus of someone's perfume. Rain streaked the floor-to-ceiling windows, blurring the city lights into watercolor smudges. Maya sat across from her boss, Elena Hartwell, watching her sign off on the quarterly reports with quick, efficient strokes. It was past 8 on a Friday, and the office had emptied hours ago, leaving only the hum of the ventilation system and the occasional ping of Elena's email notifications. Maya had worked as Elena's executive assistant for 3 years. She knew the exact angle of Elena's jaw when she was annoyed, the way her left hand would drift to her temple when she was thinking, the precise shade of exhaustion that darkened her eyes after board meetings. She knew Elena took her coffee black, preferred her shirts pressed with military precision, and had a daughter named Sophie who was 7 years old and obsessed with astronomy. What Maya didn't know was why her chest tightened every time Elena smiled at her, or why she'd started dreading weekends. "That's everything," Elena said, closing the folder. She glanced up, and for a moment their eyes met. Elena's were dark brown, almost black in this light, and Maya felt that familiar flutter she'd been trying to ignore for months. "Thank you for staying late. I know it's been a long week." "It's fine," Maya said, gathering her notes. "I don't have anywhere to be." The words came out before she could stop them, and she felt heat creep up her neck. Elena's expression shifted, something unreadable crossing her features before she looked away. "Still," Elena said quietly, "you should have a life outside these walls." Maya stood, smoothing her skirt. "I'll see you Monday, then." She was halfway to the door when Elena spoke again. "Maya." She turned. Elena was standing now, her hands resting on the back of her chair. The rain had picked up, drumming against the windows like fingertips. "Do you ever think about leaving?" Elena asked. "This job, I mean. You're overqualified to be an assistant. You could be doing so much more." The question caught Maya off guard. "I like what I do," she said carefully. "I'm good at it." "You're exceptional at it." Elena's voice was soft, almost vulnerable. "That's why I'm asking." Maya swallowed. There were things she wanted to say, things that had been building for months, but they all felt too big, too dangerous. Instead she said, "I'm not going anywhere." Something in Elena's posture relaxed. "Good," she said. "That's good." The weekend passed in a blur of laundry and meal prep and a book Maya couldn't focus on. Sunday evening, her best friend Priya called. "You're coming out with us Friday night," Priya announced without preamble. "No excuses." "I don't know," Maya said, wedging the phone between her ear and shoulder as she folded towels. "Work has been intense." "It's always intense. That woman works you to the bone." Priya's voice softened. "When was the last time you went on a date, Maya? When was the last time you did anything that wasn't about that office?" Maya didn't answer. She knew Priya was right, but the thought of dating felt exhausting. No one else seemed interesting. No one else had Elena's sharp intelligence, her rare smile, the way she listened when Maya spoke like every word mattered. "There's this woman," Priya continued. "Jess. She works in tech, she's funny, she's single. I think you'd really like her." "Priya. One drink. That's all I'm asking. Just meet her." Maya closed her eyes. "Okay," she said finally. "One drink." Monday morning, Elena was already in her office when Maya arrived. She looked tired, shadows beneath her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. Sophie had been sick over the weekend, Elena explained, some kind of stomach bug that had kept them both up for 2 nights. "You should have called," Maya said, setting down Elena's coffee. "I could have helped." Elena's laugh was dry. "How? You're my assistant, not my nanny." "I could have brought you groceries. Made soup." Maya hesitated. "I know you don't like asking for help." "No," Elena said quietly, meeting her gaze. "I don't." They fell into their usual rhythm after that. Meetings, emails, phone calls. Elena had a way of commanding a room that Maya found mesmerizing. She was brilliant and ruthless and surprisingly kind when she thought no one was watching. Maya had seen her slip extra money to the coffee cart vendor whose daughter was in the hospital. She'd watched Elena spend an hour on the phone talking a junior analyst through a panic attack before a presentation. These were the moments Maya hoarded, evidence of the person beneath the professional armor. Thursday afternoon, Maya was updating Elena's calendar when she realized she needed to block out Friday evening. Her hands hovered over the keyboard. It shouldn't matter. It was her personal time. But she felt guilty anyway, like she was betraying something unnamed. "What is it?" Elena asked, not looking up from her screen. "Nothing," Maya said quickly. "Just updating your schedule." "You make a face when you're lying. Your nose scrunches." Maya's hand flew to her nose. "It does not." Elena glanced over, and there was amusement in her eyes. "It absolutely does." "Fine." Maya took a breath. "I'm blocking out Friday evening. I have plans." Something changed in Elena's expression. The amusement faded, replaced by something cooler, more guarded. "Plans?" "Yes." "With?" Maya hesitated. "A friend is setting me up. It's just drinks." The silence that followed felt heavy. Elena turned back to her computer, her fingers moving over the keys with sharp, precise movements. "I see." "It's not a big deal," Maya said, unsure why she felt the need to explain. "I probably won't even go." "Why not?" Elena's voice was flat. "You should go. You should date. Have a life." "Right," Maya said quietly. "A life." She finished updating the calendar and left Elena's office, her stomach churning. She told herself it didn't mean anything. Elena was her boss. That was all. Friday evening arrived too quickly. Maya changed 3 times before settling on dark jeans and a silk blouse, something casual but put together. Priya texted her the address of the wine bar, followed by a string of encouraging emojis. Maya stared at her reflection, wondering what she was doing. She arrived at the office Friday morning to find Elena already there, which was unusual. Elena was meticulous about her schedule, arriving at exactly 8:15 every day. It was 7:45. "Morning," Maya said cautiously. Elena looked up. She was wearing a charcoal suit that made her look both severe and stunning. "Morning." The day passed in awkward silence. Elena was curt with her responses, avoided eye contact, and left for lunch without saying where she was going. By 3 o'clock, Maya's anxiety had crystallized into frustration. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked, standing in Elena's doorway. "No." Elena didn't look up from her papers. "You're angry with me." "I'm not angry." "You're doing that thing where you pretend everything's fine but your voice gets all clipped and formal." Elena's pen stilled. She looked up, and Maya saw something raw in her expression before Elena composed herself. "Go on your date, Maya. Have a wonderful time." "Why does it feel like you're punishing me for having plans?" "Because you're projecting." Elena stood, gathering her things. "I have a meeting. Lock up when you leave." She swept past Maya without another word, leaving behind the scent of her perfume and the echo of her heels on the marble floor. Maya stood there, chest tight, fighting the urge to cry. The wine bar was warm and crowded, filled with the chatter of Friday night conversations. Jess was already there, sitting at a corner table. She was pretty, with short dark hair and an easy smile. She worked in software development, had 2 cats, and made Maya laugh with stories about her disastrous attempts at pottery classes. "You're distracted," Jess said after their second glass of wine. "Want to talk about it?" Maya managed a smile. "Just work stress." "Demanding boss?" "Something like that." Jess leaned back, studying her. "Can I give you some unsolicited advice?" "Sure." "Life's too short to be miserable. If your job is making you this unhappy, find a new one." "It's not the job," Maya said quietly. "The job is fine." Jess's expression softened with understanding. "Ah, it's the boss herself." Maya looked down at her wine. "It's complicated." "It always is." Jess reached across the table, touching Maya's hand briefly. "But you seem like someone who deserves to be happy. I hope you figure it out." They parted with a friendly hug and mutual agreement that while they'd had a nice time, there wasn't a romantic spark. Maya walked home through streets slick with earlier rain, her mind churning. Monday morning, she found an envelope on her desk. Inside was a handwritten note in Elena's precise script. "I apologize for my behavior Friday. It was unprofessional and unfair to you. You deserve better. Maya stared at the note for a long time before folding it carefully and tucking it into her bag. When she brought Elena her coffee, Elena looked up with something like trepidation. Thank you for the note, Maya said. You didn't deserve that. No, Maya agreed. I didn't. Elena flinched slightly. How was your date? Fine. Nice. There won't be a second one. Oh. Elena's fingers drummed against her desk. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was good for me to remember there's a world outside this office. Right. Elena's voice was quiet. Of course. Maya wanted to ask what was happening between them, wanted to name the thing that had been building for months. But Elena's expression was so carefully neutral, so professionally distant, that Maya lost her nerve. The weeks that followed were strange. Elena was scrupulously polite, almost formal. She asked about Maya's weekend plans, encouraged her to leave on time, even suggested Maya take a few vacation days. It felt like Elena was trying to push her away, to create distance. Maya resisted. She worked harder, stayed later, anticipated Elena's needs before she voiced them. She was determined to prove something, though she wasn't sure what. It was Sophie who changed everything. Elena's ex-partner Rachel was supposed to pick Sophie up from school one Tuesday, but there was a mix-up with the timing. Elena was in back-to-back meetings until 6, and Sophie was sitting in the school office, anxious and waiting. Let me go, Maya said when Elena's phone buzzed with a message from the school. Maya, that's not your job. I know. But I'm between tasks, and you have the board breathing down your neck. Let me help. Elena hesitated, and Maya saw the moment she gave in. She likes hot chocolate, Elena said quietly. With extra marshmallows. There's a cafe 2 blocks from her school. Maya found Sophie sitting on a bench outside the main office, a small figure with dark hair and Elena's eyes. She looked up when Maya approached, wariness in her expression. Hi Sophie. I'm Maya. I work with your mom. She asked me to pick you up. Sophie studied her carefully. Mom never sends anyone else. I know. But she's stuck in a meeting, and I volunteered. Is that okay? After a moment, Sophie nodded and gathered her backpack. They walked to the cafe in companionable silence. Maya ordered Sophie's hot chocolate exactly as Elena had specified and got herself a tea. Do you like working for my mom? Sophie asked, licking marshmallow from her spoon. I do. Very much. She talks about you sometimes. Maya's heart stuttered. She does. She says you make everything easier. That you understand what she needs before she asks. Sophie tilted her head. She sounds happy when she talks about you. Your mom is very good at what she does. It's an honor to work with her. Sophie made a face. That sounds like something a grown-up would say when they're being polite. Maya laughed despite herself. You're very perceptive. I'm 7, Sophie said, as if that explained everything. Are you in love with my mom? Maya choked on her tea. Sophie watched her with the same intense focus Elena had, waiting for an answer. That's a very personal question, Maya managed. But you are, Sophie said matter-of-factly. It's okay. I think my mom might love you too, but she's scared. Sophie. She gets this look when she talks about you. Soft. Like how she looks at me sometimes. Sophie swirled her spoon through the hot chocolate. Mom doesn't let people in much. Not since Rachel left. But I think she wants to let you in. She's just forgot how. Maya didn't know what to say. They finished their drinks in silence, and when Elena arrived 30 minutes later, breathless and apologetic, Maya saw the fear in her eyes. Thank you, Elena said, pulling Sophie into a hug. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I should have been here. It's okay, Mama. Maya bought me hot chocolate. With extra marshmallows. Elena looked at Maya over Sophie's head, and something passed between them. Gratitude, yes, but also something deeper, something that made Maya's breath catch. I'll see you tomorrow, Maya said softly. That night, Elena texted her. It was the first time she'd ever contacted Maya outside work hours. Thank you for today. Sophie said you were wonderful with her. Maya stared at the message, her thumbs hovering over the keyboard. She's a great kid. You should be proud. I am. Maya, can we talk? Not at the office. Maya's heart pounded. When? Tomorrow? After work? There's a cafe near the office. Okay. Maya barely slept. She changed outfits 4 times the next morning before settling on a simple dress. At work, Elena was distracted, missing details she'd normally catch. They moved around each other like magnets, pulled close but not quite touching. At 5, Elena packed her bag and glanced at Maya. Ready. The cafe was small and quiet, tucked into a side street. They ordered coffee and sat by the window, watching people hurry past in the fading light. I've been unfair to you, Elena said finally. These past few weeks. Months, really. What do you mean? Elena's hands wrapped around her cup. When you mentioned your date, I was angry. Irrationally, inappropriately angry. And I didn't understand why at first. Maya waited, heart hammering. I've been alone for a long time, Elena continued. Since Rachel left. I told myself I was fine, that I didn't need anyone, that all I needed was my work and Sophie. And then you started working for me, and everything became complicated. Elena. Please. Let me finish. Elena took a breath. You make my life better. Not just easier, but better. You anticipate what I need, yes, but more than that, you see me. The real me, not just the executive or the boss. And somewhere along the way, I started needing you in a way that terrified me. Maya's throat felt tight. Why didn't you say anything? Because you work for me. Because it would be crossing so many lines. Because I was afraid. Elena's eyes met hers, vulnerable and raw. I'm still afraid. Of what? Of ruining this. Of losing you. Of being the person who takes advantage of the power dynamic between us. Elena's voice dropped to almost a whisper. Of wanting you this much and having you not want me back. The cafe seemed to shrink around them. Maya reached across the table, covering Elena's hand with her own. When you told me to date, to have a life, I tried, Maya said. But no one else was interesting. No one else was you. She swallowed hard. I've been in love with you for over a year, Elena. I just thought it was hopeless. Elena's eyes shone with unshed tears. It's not hopeless. But you're right about the complications. I work for you. If we do this, everything changes. I know. Elena turned her hand over, lacing their fingers together. I've been thinking about that. Maya, I meant it when I said you're overqualified to be my assistant. You could run your own department. I could help you transition internally, or write you a recommendation anywhere you want to go. Maya's chest ached. You'd let me go? I'd do anything to give us a chance at this. At being equals. At being together without the shadow of my authority over you. Elena's grip tightened. But only if that's what you want. Maya thought about the past 3 years. The coffee runs and late nights, the stolen glances and careful distance. She thought about Sophie's words, about Elena talking about her with that soft look. She thought about all the moments she'd catalogued and hoarded, proof that this thing between them was real. I don't want to leave, Maya said. But I don't want to be your assistant anymore either. I want to be your partner. In every sense. Elena smiled, and it was like sunrise breaking through storm clouds. We'll figure it out. Together. They talked for hours, mapping out possibilities. Maya could transition to a project management role in another division. They'd have to be careful, professional, until the change was official. But for the first time in months, years maybe, Maya felt hope unfurl in her chest. I should go, Elena said eventually, though neither of them moved. Sophie's with Rachel tonight, but I have an early meeting. Okay. Elena stood but didn't release Maya's hand. Can I see you this weekend? Outside the office. A real date. Maya smiled. I'd like that. Saturday? I'll pick you up at 7. It's a date. They parted on the sidewalk, and Maya watched Elena disappear into the evening crowd. She felt weightless, terrified, exhilarated. Everything was about to change. The next few weeks were carefully choreographed. At work, They maintained their professional distance, though Maya caught Elena watching her sometimes with barely concealed warmth. They had their first official date at a quiet restaurant across town, where they could talk without fear of running into colleagues. Maya met Sophie officially as Mama's friend, and Sophie, wise beyond her years, smiled like she'd known all along. Maya interviewed for the project management position. It was a lateral move salary-wise but gave her autonomy and removed the reporting structure between her and Elena. HR was meticulous about the process, ensuring everything was above board. Maya suspected Elena had made sure of that. Her last day as Elena's assistant was bittersweet. She trained her replacement, a competent woman named Sarah who seemed overwhelmed by Elena's exacting standards. Maya felt a pang of possessiveness that she quickly suppressed. "Thank you," Elena said that evening, after Sarah had left, "for everything you've done these past 3 years." "It was my pleasure," Maya said, and meant it. Elena reached into her desk drawer and pulled out a small wrapped box. "I got you something. For your new beginning." Inside was a silver pen, elegant and perfectly weighted. Engraved on the barrel were the words for all the chapters yet to be written. Maya's eyes stung. "Elena, I know it's cheesy, but I wanted you to have something to remember. I could never forget." Maya set the pen down carefully. "Can I kiss you? Here in your office?" Elena's smile was radiant. "Yes." The kiss was gentle, tentative, everything Maya had imagined and more. When they pulled apart, Elena rested her forehead against Maya's. "I love you," Elena whispered. "I should have said it weeks ago, but I love you." "I love you too." Maya started her new position the following Monday. It was strange, walking past Elena's office without stopping in. But they had lunch together that day, sitting in the cafeteria like any other couple, and it felt revolutionary. The transition wasn't seamless. Some colleagues gossiped. HR watched them carefully for any sign of impropriety. But Maya was good at her new job, better than good, and soon she was leading projects that had nothing to do with Elena's department. Sophie adjusted quickly to Maya's presence in their lives. She invited Maya to her school's astronomy night, where they lay on blankets in the field and identified constellations. Maya taught Sophie how to make pancakes shaped like stars. Elena watched them together with something like wonder, as if she couldn't quite believe this was her life now. 6 months in, Rachel came to Elena's apartment to pick up Sophie for their weekend together. She paused when she saw Maya in the kitchen, coffee cup in hand, clearly comfortable in the space. "You must be Maya," Rachel said. Her voice wasn't hostile exactly, but there was an edge to it. "That's me." Maya offered a smile. "It's nice to finally meet you." Rachel looked between Maya and Elena, who had appeared from the hallway. "Sophie talks about you non-stop. Maya this, Maya that." "She's a wonderful kid," Maya said carefully. "She is." Rachel shifted her weight. "Elena, can we talk? Privately?" Elena glanced at Maya, who nodded and retreated to the bedroom. She could hear their voices through the door, though not the words. When Elena finally came to find her, she looked drained. "She's worried," Elena said, sitting beside Maya on the bed. "About Sophie getting attached to someone who might not stay." Maya's stomach clenched. "What did you tell her?" "That I'm in this for the long term. That you're not going anywhere." Elena took Maya's hand. "Was I right to say that?" "Yes," Maya said without hesitation. "You were absolutely right." Elena pulled her close, and Maya felt the tension drain from both of them. They'd weathered gossip and HR scrutiny and the awkwardness of changing professional dynamics. They could weather this too. The first time Maya stayed over when Sophie was home, Elena was nervous. They kept things appropriate, no displays of affection beyond hand-holding, but Sophie seemed unbothered. At breakfast, she asked Maya if she'd come to her soccer game the next weekend. "If that's okay with your moms," Maya said, glancing at Elena. "More than okay," Elena said softly. The game was on a crisp Saturday morning. Maya sat between Elena and Rachel, the three of them cheering as Sophie played with fierce determination. Afterward, when Sophie ran over, sweaty and victorious, she threw her arms around all three of them without discrimination. "We won," she announced. "You were amazing," Maya said. Rachel looked at Maya for a long moment. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For being good to her." To both of them. It wasn't absolution exactly, but it was something. An acknowledgement. A beginning. That night, after Sophie had gone to bed, Elena and Maya sat on the couch with glasses of wine. The apartment was quiet, filled with the comfortable silence of people who didn't need to fill every moment with words. "I've been thinking," Elena said, "about the future." Maya's heart picked up speed. "Oh. Nothing dramatic. Just that I'd like you to be part of it. Officially. Whenever you're ready." "Officially how?" Elena set down her wine and turned to face Maya fully. "Move in with us. Not tomorrow, not next week. But eventually. When it feels right." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "You're sure? Sophie's okay with it?" "I asked her. She said it was about time." Elena's smile was tender. "She loves you, Maya. Almost as much as I do." "Almost." Maya teased, even as her voice shook. "No one loves you as much as I do. Not even close." They kissed, slow and sweet, and Maya thought about all the paths that had led them here. The late nights in the office, the careful distance, the moment Elena had stopped being just her boss and started being everything. It hadn't been easy. It wouldn't always be easy. But sitting here, in this apartment that smelled like home, with the woman she loved and the promise of a future together, Maya couldn't imagine wanting anything else. "I'll move in," she said against Elena's lips. "Whenever you want me here." "I want you here always," Elena whispered. "I've wanted that for longer than I'd like to admit." "Then I'm yours," Maya said. "For as long as you'll have me." Elena pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. "That's the thing, Maya. You were always mine. Even when I was too afraid to claim you. Even when we were pretending this was just professional. You were mine, and I was yours, and maybe we both knew it all along." "Maybe we did," Maya agreed. "Maybe we just needed time to catch up to what we already knew." They stayed like that for a while, wrapped in each other, in the quiet certainty of love recognized and returned. Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside, in this small apartment that would soon be Maya's home too, everything was exactly as it should be. The move happened gradually over the next 2 months. Maya brought her books first, then her clothes, then the small pieces of furniture that made a space feel lived in. Sophie helped her arrange everything, delighted to have a say in how Maya's things fit into their home. "This goes here," Sophie declared, positioning a framed photo of Maya's family on the bookshelf. "So when you miss them, you can see them." "Thank you, sweetheart," Maya said, ruffling Sophie's hair. Elena watched from the doorway, and when their eyes met, Maya saw everything she needed to know reflected back at her. This was right. This was home. This was exactly where she was meant to be. Work continued to be work. Maya excelled in her new role, earned a promotion within the year, and became known for her ability to manage complex projects with grace and efficiency. People stopped whispering about her relationship with Elena. It became simply another fact of their professional landscape. On their first anniversary of being together officially, Elena took Maya to the same cafe where they'd first admitted their feelings. They ordered the same coffee, sat at the same table. "1 year," Elena said, raising her cup in a toast. "To many more." "Many more," Maya echoed. "I know it hasn't always been easy," Elena continued. "The scrutiny, the adjustments, blending our lives. But Maya, I want you to know that I've never regretted this. Not for a single moment. Neither have I." "I love you," Elena said simply. "More every day." "I love you too." Maya reached across the table, taking Elena's hand. "Thank you for being brave enough to take this chance. For being willing to risk what we had for what we could be." "You made it worth the risk," Elena said. "You always did." They finished their coffee and walked home through streets washed clean by afternoon rain. Sophie was at Rachel's for the weekend, which meant they had the apartment to themselves. They cooked dinner together, moving around the kitchen in practiced synchronicity, talking about nothing and everything. Later, in bed, Elena traced patterns on Maya's shoulder. "Sometimes I still can't believe this is real," she said quietly. "That you're here. That we get to have this." "Believe it," Maya whispered. "Because I'm not going anywhere." "Promise." "I promise." They fell asleep wrapped around each other, and Maya dreamed of the future. Of Sophie growing up with two mothers who loved her. Of holidays and ordinary Tuesdays and all the small moments that made up a life. Of growing old with Elena, of building something lasting and true. When she woke, Elena was already up, making coffee in the kitchen. Maya found her standing by the window, watching the sun rise over the city. She wrapped her arms around Elena from behind, resting her chin on her shoulder. "Good morning," Elena murmured. "Good morning." They stood like that for a while, watching the world wake up. And Maya thought about how far they'd come from that rainy Friday night when she'd mentioned having a date. How Elena's anger had sparked something neither of them could ignore. How fear and courage had brought them to this moment. "What are you thinking about?" Elena asked. "Just that I'm glad you got angry that day. Glad you couldn't hide what you felt." Elena turned in her arms, smiling. "So am I. Though I wish I'd been braver sooner. We got here in the end. That's what matters." "Yes," Elena agreed, kissing her softly. "We got here. And here is exactly where I want to be." Maya kissed her back, tasting coffee and morning and the promise of every day to come. Outside, the city rushed forward into another day. But here, in this apartment they shared, time felt infinite. They had all the time in the world.